first off, whenever I hear the story of these brave six folk over here, I get a little choked up, so I got to shake it out a little bit, right? It was kind of a big happening yesterday. So I think, we've touched on a lot of the issues. So I thought might be interesting to tell you all a little bit just about how my day went. Yeah. I had an interesting day. I did. I had a really long day. I woke up around 6:15 in the morning. The sun was peeking up from over. I'm a first-year doctoral student in the philosophy department here. So I call that building the philosophy building over there. What's that building's name? Bowden. The Bowden building there. So about 6:15 in the morning, I was sleeping on a tent around where some of y'all are sitting, and the sun came up right over Bowden. And it was actually a beautiful morning here on the Emory Green. This was my 5th morning waking up on the green, so
yeah. Consider it.
I was starting to fall into a routine, and it was kind of nice, Wake up slow, kind of enjoy nature. The birds start chirping actually at 3 a.m., so the birds don't wake you up. To start the day, the birds actually serenade you to sleep. So wake up, and then we had a tent in this area over towards my right. We had some coffee. We had some nice, maybe 2, 3, maybe 4-day-old bagels, which were still great. We received a lot of support from the community, a lot of donations from the community, and we appreciated every single show of support that we had. So give yourselves a round of applause. I know I see some people here in the crowd who have supported us, who have been there, and we thank you from the bottom of our hearts. So I had my coffee and my bagel, and not too far after that, maybe around 7:30 in the morning, I'm sitting here, I'm using the Emory Wi-Fi, I'm on my computer, I'm starting my day, and a young woman walks up to the tent. It's about 7:30 in the morning. She looked a little anxious. She looked a little frazzled. I'd say frantic, but she looked a little too tired, actually, to be frantic. She kind of didn't even have enough energy to be frantic. So I stood up, and she identified herself as a Sodexo worker. She told me that she had just gotten off a night shift. I forgot to ask her exactly where. We think maybe at Jasmine's, given the time of morning. She informed me that she didn't have much time to talk. She was going to another job. She works 3 jobs. She moved here from Indiana. She lives down here in Georgia by herself. She works 3 jobs, and she has problems here on Emory campus working for Sodexo. She told me this, and as she started to tell me this, as the first sentences were coming out of her mouth, she was getting choked up. It became difficult for her to talk. She told me about how she was promised $10.75 an hour at orientation, and how she had been being paid $10 an hour for some reason. She told me how when she complained about it, they told her that she was lucky to have a job in the first place. She told me that she was probably one of the hardest workers at her job, and that she also caught the most heat from management. She told me that she felt like she's treated like dirt. See, this is why we're here. When you look into the eyes of the workers, when the workers come over to your tent because they feel like the formal avenues for addressing these problems are structured so that these problems aren't addressed, that the formal avenues that are available to address these problems are actually avenues that put the workers kind of in a vulnerable position. The vulnerables feel like the vulnerables, that might be a fitting term. The workers feel as if they're vulnerable because Sodexo has showed that it is a business practice of theirs to fire their employees who try to speak out, who try to speak up for themselves, for just employment, for getting paid what they were promised to be getting paid at orientation. See, these things are happening right here on Emory campus, and they're rendered invisible. They're rendered invisible by some of the structures of formal redress of problems, by some of these bureaucratic, multi-month, maybe multi-year-long processes of formally addressing these issues. That's the whole reason for being, for students and workers in solidarity. We're here to do whatever it is we can, whether it's setting up tents, whether it's speaking out, whether it's meeting with President Wagner, or whether it's going to jail. That's why we're here, to do whatever we can to help workers better their lives, to help workers just work with dignity, to work with pride, to not show up to work with tears in their eyes, to not show up coming from one job feeling like being treated like less than a human being, and then going to another job and just falling into routine, this routine of really not being able to stand up for yourself. So that's how my morning started. So that foreshadowed kind of the intensity of the day for me, I'd say. Throughout the day, I stayed around my campsite here with a lot of my very good buddies. As has been said, we've gotten very close. We were already close. That's, we shared a deep commitment to these issues. But through living together, through trying to raise consciousness of these issues together, we grew ever closer. So throughout the day, there were also some prospective student tours. So I thought, these admitted students might like to know about some of the employment practices on their campus. It's very important. We're trying to, I think it's in the vision statement, actually. It's on the website for Emory University. We are trying to create an unusual degree of community and intercollegiality. So I thought I'd tell them that we're here setting up tents to carry out that vision statement, to create an unusual degree of community and intercollegiality. So that was some of my day. And while that seems exciting enough, that was, relatively speaking, one of the more mundane parts of my day, speaking to people on campus. So I went home, actually, to try to get some work done. Finals are coming up. Papers are coming up for some of us. I came back on campus around 6, and we had a little meeting to kind of discuss where things were going, where things were moving forward. And that was interrupted. We didn't get to speak about some of the things we wanted to speak about because Vice President Gary Hawk had some things to say to us. So I think some other people might speak to actually what concretely happened here on campus involving the tearing down of signs, involving the tearing down of tents, involving a very emotional experience where there was pretty blatantly a show of brute force, kind of a show of naked aggression, which I took as a very nervous show on behalf of the administration. You could kind of see the administration waited till all the perspectives were gone. They waited till 6:30. They waited till many classes were over, and they just tried to kind of just bulldoze us over. They kind of just tried to sweep in and sweep out the problems, sweep out the issues. This has been the tactic that the administration has been using, to kind of just sweep away the issues, whether it's through a misinformation campaign that tries to cast the issue as some kind of larger conspiratorial struggle between SEIU and Sodexo. I can tell you, this is Emory's students' campaign. This is some students from Tech, some students from State, because they have the same problems on their community, but this is a student-led, student-driven movement. And we've been trying to bring in workers also. And workers are a part of it too. So I've got to wrap up because some more of us are going to speak about our experiences. I'll just tell you, jail is an interesting place. You will meet some interesting, some folks in some of the holding cells who have a lot of things to say. I did learn that DeKalb County is maybe one huge waste of taxpayer dollars. That's another issue, though, for another fight and another night. So about 14 hours later this morning, after not being able to get much sleep, hardly any of us have gotten much sleep, I was released. I went to class this afternoon. I called my second half of class. I did miss a meeting I was supposed to have with the professor. But now, I'm still engaged with this issue. I'm still very much trying to put pressure on the administration so that they show some kind of commitment to act in some way other than belligerent towards their own community. They've showed a commitment to belligerence. Prior to that, they showed a commitment to evasion. So we're trying to have them articulate some kind of commitment to at least some kind of good faith effort to redress these issues. we'll have some people speak about what's going forward. So I thank you all for listening. I thank you all again for coming out.